In the dark, history holds its breath. It waits in the quiet places of the world, in the spaces between what we are told and what we can see for ourselves. It is a story written not in ink, but in stone, sand, and water. A story whose most crucial chapters have been misplaced, forgotten, or perhaps deliberately concealed. We are taught a linear narrative of our past, a steady, unbroken climb from primitive beginnings to the complex world of today. But what if that line is not as straight as we believe? What if our history is incomplete? What if, scattered across the globe, there are clues to a different story? A story of immense structures built before recorded civilization, of knowledge that defies its supposed era, of a human past far more ancient and far more advanced than we have ever imagined. This is a journey to the edges of our understanding, to the sites that challenge the official record. We will travel beyond the map and beneath the accepted narrative to ask the questions that have been left unanswered for millennia. Our journey begins where the sands conceal more than they reveal. In the great deserts of the world, the Sahara, the Gobi, the Atacama, the wind and sun are relentless historians, burying and uncovering secrets with each passing season. For centuries, these arid landscapes were seen as barren voids. But modern eyes, aided by new technology, are beginning to see a different picture. Beneath the endless waves of sand lie the ghosts of cities, the footprints of forgotten cultures. Here, archaeologists unearth not just pottery and tools, but anomalies. Structures of a scale and precision that seem out of place, dated to periods where humanity was thought to be living in simple, nomadic tribes. Who were these people? How did they build vast complexes in environments that can barely sustain life today? The conventional answer is that the climate was different, that these were early agricultural settlements that flourished before the land turned to desert. But some of the evidence doesn't quite fit. Consider Nabta Playa, deep in the Egyptian Sahara. Over 7,000 years ago, long before the pharaohs, a mysterious people erected a circle of stones. It is one of the world's oldest known archaeoastronomical devices, aligned with the stars with remarkable accuracy. Mainstream archaeology suggests it was a ceremonial calendar for a cattle-herding culture. But the precision involved hints at a deeper understanding of celestial mechanics. An understanding that, according to our timeline of history, shouldn't exist for another few thousand years. Was this an isolated spark of genius? Or is it a single surviving piece of a much larger, forgotten puzzle? The questions multiply as we look further. Across the planet, in the deserts of Peru, the Nazca lines are etched into the earth on a colossal scale. Hundreds of geometric figures and depictions of animals, so large they can only be fully appreciated from the sky. They were created around 2,000 years ago, but for what purpose? Were they offerings to sky gods, a celestial map, or messages from a culture that possessed a perspective we are only now beginning to reacquire with flight? The mystery deepens when we examine the construction. These aren't just drawings, they are precise engineering projects. The lines are created by removing the reddish-brown, iron oxide-coated pebbles on the surface to reveal the lighter-colored earth beneath. Some lines run perfectly straight for miles, over hills and valleys, without deviation. The skill required to create such works without an aerial viewpoint is, for some researchers, simply inexplicable within the context of the known Nazca culture. It suggests a lost technology, a different way of seeing and mapping the world. And what of the cities themselves? The legendary city of Ubar, the Atlantis of the Sands, was once dismissed as a myth. A prosperous trading hub mentioned in ancient texts, it was said to have been swallowed by the desert. For centuries, explorers searched for it in vain. Then, in the 1990s, satellite imagery from NASA revealed ancient trade routes converging on a single point in the deserts of Oman. Excavations followed, and the fortress of a long-lost city was unearthed. Ubar was real. The stories were true. It raises a fundamental question: how many other myths are actually memories? How many other legendary lost cities are simply waiting for the right technology to peel back the veil of sand and time? These desert discoveries are more than just archaeological curiosities. They are cracks in the foundation of our accepted history. They show us that sophisticated societies, capable of monumental engineering and complex astronomical observation, existed in periods and places we thought were empty. They force us to ask, who were they and where did their knowledge come from? From the searing sun of the desert, we move to a world of shadow and green, where roots and vines weave a shroud over the works of unknown hands. The jungles of Central and South America, of Southeast Asia, are the planet's great cradle of life. But they are also a graveyard of empires. For every pyramid that breaks through the canopy, how many more lie sleeping beneath it? For centuries, the jungle guarded its secrets well. Explorers returned with feverish tales of white cities and cities of giants, tales that were dismissed as fantasy. But the fantasy is becoming fact. A technology called LiDAR, light detection and ranging, is revolutionizing archaeology. By firing millions of laser pulses from an aircraft, it can digitally strip away the trees and vegetation, revealing the precise contours of the ground beneath. And what it is revealing is staggering. In the jungles of Guatemala, LiDAR surveys have uncovered the ruins of more than 60,000 previously unknown structures belonging to the ancient Maya. Houses, palaces, defensive walls, and causeways connecting a sprawling network of cities, home to millions more people than was ever thought possible. The scale is almost incomprehensible. The Maya weren't just living in isolated city-states. They had engineered their landscape on a scale comparable to ancient Greece or China. They built industrial-sized agricultural systems and highways, stretching for miles. This wasn't a primitive society living at the mercy of the jungle. It was a civilization that had mastered it, and it was all hidden in plain sight, completely invisible from the ground. The technology peels back the leaves, and entire cities reappear, forcing us to rewrite the textbooks overnight. And the Maya are not alone. Similar discoveries are being made in the Amazon. For decades, the prevailing theory was that the Amazon soil was too poor to support large-scale agriculture, and therefore, large populations. But LiDAR and satellite surveys are revealing a landscape covered in ancient earthworks, geometric patterns known as geoglyphs, and the remains of fortified towns connected by road networks. A vast, interconnected civilization may have thrived there for centuries before the arrival of Europeans. A civilization that vanished so completely, its existence was reduced to the whispers of legend. How does a civilization of millions disappear? The conventional narrative points to disease and conquest. But could there be more to the story? As we look at the oldest and most enigmatic of these jungle sites, we find more questions. At places like Angkor Wat in Cambodia, we see stone carved with the precision of a machine. At remote sites in the Andes, we find megalithic walls built with interlocking stones so perfectly fitted that a piece of paper cannot be slipped between them. Who built these structures, older than recorded civilization in many cases? The official story attributes them to the Incas or the Khmer, using simple tools and immense manpower. But some engineers and geologists question this. They point to the quarrying techniques, the transportation of multi-ton blocks over mountainous terrain, and the sheer precision of the stonework as evidence of a level of technology far beyond what these cultures were known to possess. One interpretation is that these later cultures did not build these structures from scratch, but rather found them, inherited them, and built their own civilizations upon the foundations of a much older and far more advanced predecessor. A lost civilization whose greatest works are now being slowly reclaimed by the jungle. And what of the places that were not buried by sand or overgrown by jungle, but swallowed by the sea? Beneath the waves, entire cities sleep. For generations, The story of Atlantis, a great island civilization that sank beneath the waves in a single day and night, has captivated the human imagination. Most scholars dismiss it as a fable, a cautionary tale invented by Plato. But what if Plato wasn't inventing, but reporting? What if his story is a distorted memory of a real cataclysm that reshaped the ancient world? We now know that at the end of the last ice age, around 12,000 years ago, the world underwent a period of catastrophic climate change. As the great ice sheets melted, sea levels rose by hundreds of feet, inundating vast areas of coastal land. Land that would have been prime real estate for any advanced maritime civilization. Any cities, ports, or monuments built on those coastlines would now be at the bottom of the sea. Doorways to a lost chapter of human history waiting in the deep. And we are beginning to find them. Off the coast of India, in the Gulf of Cambay, sonar scans have revealed the geometric patterns of a huge ancient city, 9 kilometers long, sitting in 120 feet of water. Artifacts dredged from the site have been dated to as far back as 9,500 years ago, thousands of years before any known city in the region. In the Mediterranean, the sunken city of Herakleion, once thought to be a myth, has been found and is being excavated. Off the coast of Japan, the mysterious Yonaguni monument lies submerged, a massive stone structure with apparently carved steps and terraces. Some geologists claim it is a natural formation, but others are convinced it is man-made. Each of these discoveries on its own is a puzzle, but taken together, a pattern begins to emerge. Stories scratched in stone, rewritten by wind and water. Foundations upon foundations, each era built on a buried memory. Across continents, the same questions echo. Patterns repeat where no contact should exist. From the sky, alignments reveal the mind of their makers. Some discoveries vanish into files and footnotes. Why were these places hidden from us? Journey with us, beyond the map and beneath the narrative. The evidence is waiting. The past is not as past as it seems, and our story is just beginning. First, the Desert Code.